Right?
Mm,
See,
2023 is the day that we finally stop canceling.
maybe
cancel.
one
Mm-hmm.
Hmm? All right, let me go to the stream real quick.
We're
Make
gonna
sure everything's.
approve the non-cancellation filter. It's a non-cancellation policy. No
Did you
refunds.
did you put it up on Twitch or YouTube?
on
This.
YouTube.
Alright, we're gonna YouTube stream real quick. Make
We're
sure
gonna approve
everything's.
the no. Sorry.
Wait,
YouTube.
let me put y'all up because I don't think I have you loud enough
No
Did you?
refunds.
Okay. Did you put it up on Twitch or YouTube?
on
This.
YouTube. Anyways, stream is up. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 5 of the Untitled Goon Roundtable. This is the title of the episode is Semantics of Comedy. The topic comedy. Um, but before we can get into it, some updates on my end. Um, Pretty soon I'm gonna move the podcast over to its own channel, so that this Hermit 90 channel can be for gaming, and Roundtable could be in its own thing where it has better room to breathe. And with that, I'll put in more effort to give it more varied thumbnails and an actual intro. Something to work on that, but life is life. But without further ado, hey, it's oh echo. Anyways, yeah, it's me, your boy Marvin, with the, my co-host Hakeem and our special guest, his friend. Introduce yourselves.
Hey, Mo. Name is Mo. I am in Georgia here with Hakeem.
That's right. We go way back, back to the schoolyard, hanging out with the crew in the schoolyard, playing Yu-Gi-Oh and shit.
Yeah, getting my ass beat by a skinny white guy.
Rest in peace.
Damn, losing Yu-Gi to a quirked up white boy. That's crazy.
He was Russian too.
Yeah, he kept using constrict on me.
That shit will get to you.
For sure.
But yes, today's topic or tonight's topic is about comedy and how people perceive it at its current state, because it as far as I'm concerned, it's like it's a recurring conversation whenever you get a chance to talk about it in person, or if you're one of those people who are online like all the time, especially on Twitter. You see people make a whole thread talking about it, or start a whole thread from their quote retweet talking about it, whether it's like defending all types of comedy, especially the ones that
Dave Chappelle.
are controversial, like Dave Chappelle, or you're
Mm-hmm.
someone who like uh I guess don't approve of certain types of comedy styles like Dave's, or anyone else who have like who basically whose whole comedy is basically just hot takes, but said it in a funny way with funny stories behind them.
Mm-hmm.
Down to people who complain about people who do comedy for claps and not for laughs, which is also a thing, I think.
Yeah, the crowd of crowd approval comedy. Stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
But as always, before we get into it, it's our opinion. This is just our opinion. This is just our takes. Don't take our word for it. I myself haven't watched a comedy special since whatever was Dave's last one, and I haven't watched everything under the sun. So you know,
Mm.
but yeah. What do you guys? How you guys feel about comedy right now?
Right. Maybe you want to start us off?
Sure. Um, I feel like with comedy, it really depends on the background of the viewer. Um, if you are expected to have wholesome jokes, something that's like a little more, family friendly, then you hit them with a dark joke, some dark humor. Um, I feel like it might not get the effect that you're expecting because your followers are already or they're watching you for your wholesome slash family friendly jokes. Now, someone, for example, Dave Chappelle, good luck canceling. because people are following and watching him for the things that he's putting out there. You know, so I feel like it's more so kind of like ideally it's more like each comedian has a specific audience that's going to follow them no matter what. It just is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel with the way things are with celebrities, by the way, the whole, like for example, Elon Musk. I know
Yeah.
it's not comedy, but I'm trying to
He's
like,
not technically a comedian, but he's pretty funny.
yeah.
I guess.
So Elon Musk, and I'm not bringing this up for comedy. It's more so the whole celebrity concept. It's like, have you ever seen those people that follow Elon Musk to the point where even if he were to make a mistake, they'd still back him up no matter what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that same exact concept and ideology goes with all sorts of different celebrities. I mean, Kim Kardashian, for example. I think she's pretty funny. Her whole career is pretty hilarious.
Yeah, from the drama.
Yeah, the way it all started.
You're wild. I feel that. Yeah, especially what you were saying about with Dave Chappelle, like people following him for that. It's that's one of the things that I found not surprising, but I definitely find it pretty out of touch the way people backlash Dave Chappelle for a lot of his recent skits
Right.
because Dave's style of comedy that he's been doing that for like the past 20 years,
Right.
and that's his brand of comedy. So that the fact that people are jumping on like all surprised about what he's saying, that he's speaking his mind, it's like it feels a little bit out of touch because he's been doing that. It's like it's not new. It's not like, oh, he's crazy now for doing it. It's like that's what he's been doing. And you're now getting mad about it because you're the one he's talking about, but he's been talking about everybody. Literally black people, white people, Asian people, Hispanic people, gay people, trans people. He's talking about everybody. So it's like, oh, all of a sudden it should be a huge problem because one specific group of people got targeted in something. But that's just one of those things where I look at it as like
Yeah.
the window at which he moved into it is pretty much like he looked at it from a standpoint of observing the world
Oops.
as opposed to trying to judge it or like say that it's bad, like and that's specifically about the LGBT community, and that's what I interpret it as. So like it's kind of it feels a little bit out of touch to be so what's it?
Judgmental.
Yeah, judgmental about it, as if it's like this new thing that came up, and it's not. It's not.
You know, to add to that, he also makes fun of black people,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
just other people.
Hmm.
It's his own people. In fact, he makes fun of his own family to some degree. Even he has no filter. He just keeps on going.
Hmm.
But like, but realistically and honestly, in my opinion, I just feel like the authenticity. It's like just kind of making fun of certain stereotypes. He's not being racist. He's making fun of the stereotype, and he's kind of portraying it in a humorous way. That's the way I see it, at
Yeah,
least.
that's a huge point.
Yeah, he's not saying like, white people are this, white people are that. He's taking those stereotypes of what's going on in the real world, current events. He's making fun of the whole scenario.
Hmm. And
Now.
that's
Mm-hmm.
oh sorry, go ahead, Marvin.
Now, let me present y'all with something since I came brought up about being like out of touch,
Hmm.
because I think part of the issue is that some of those people who like complain about Dave and don't really like his comedy at this current moment would
Hmm.
argue that he's the one out of touch because of how his jokes just don't match up to like the current landscape,
At the
quote
time.
unquote.
Hmm.
Yeah, with the times.
Hmm.
which is fair because I feel like when it comes to the comedy that Dave does, there's like a certain line that for some people might be hard to see because it
Mm,
might be thin. Like a difference between like pointing out certain flaws in a group of people, especially when you're doing so with a community that you're not really a part of,
mm,
and giving your take on it as like an outsider versus someone who's really is just making jokes out of like I guess prejudiced place. Because
mm,
for some people, I guess the line is blurry or just doesn't really exist.
mm.
And even if they can see the line, they don't really think it should be there. Like it's made up. So
What
how would you respond to that idea?
What do you mean by that? Like,
Because some what I mean is like this is not that I don't like Dave's comedy. I'll always defend his comedy because part of comedy is like part of it is making fun of like things in life, and part of life is what we do. You know, part of that comedy is like pointing out the weird things we do, making light of it. But some people feel strongly about the community and their identity, and sometimes comedy can come off as being like an attack on that. So
mm,
do you feel like there needs to be the line should be taught about the difference between like actual comedy in like pointing out, making fun of stereotypes or like habits found in people versus like the prejudices that are found in jokes or people who make jokes from an actual prejudicial standpoint?
I feel like comedy has a special place in the global and cultural scale because of how much it's because of how much I feel like it should be removed from a lot of the day-to-day struggles of like living in the real world. Like stuff is hard sometimes. Stuff can get really hard sometimes. And I feel like comedy is like that. It's like a very special aspect of the human experience that like it should maintain in its like purest form to be able to have that, like glimmer and like the light side to life, especially when things can get tough. Even when things are going well, comedy's like super funny still, but like even when times are tough, like stuff like, the whole world's been going through a lot lately, and I feel like it's also like an avenue for like some like escapism in a way, where it's like you can look to comedy to be like, hey, even though stuff is like even though stuff is going down around you, stuff's going to shit, there's still some things that you can find to laugh at in the world and just be like, hey man, that's funny.
Right, but it changes between person to person, so it's hard to define that line.
That's how I feel about it.
Right.
That's how I feel about
What about you, Mo?
So honestly, I don't really know how to answer that question.
I mean, that's fair.
It's I feel like it's just there's a lot of different perspectives when it comes to comedy, um, and no one I just don't believe that any one comedian is going to be the comedian that everybody's gonna like.
Right.
It just is what it is.
it. Yeah, it's gonna be that flack.
Which is part of the problem with this situation, right? And why people, as much as like they want to cancel Dave, they can't because of the
Because of the follow.
subjectiveness in comedy. Yeah, his following and how subjective comedy is, and that's
Mm-hmm.
just something people can't avoid. Even if I were to agree with them on on someone's like jokes and how they do comedy isn't really good,
Mm-hmm.
as long as they have like a clout similar to like Dave's or anyone else who's like a popular comedian, or who or you can still call them a comedian of a sort, then it's gonna kind of hard to shake him off, especially since how people. Because even though I presented this idea of there being a line on what's comedy and what isn't, and how blurry it is. I had to double down on how blurry it is because it changes a lot and it can look
For
different for
sure,
many people. So
for sure. And yeah, to touch on that about the line changing. Yeah, I have been. Yeah, now we were just talking about this. I have been watching Key and Peele for the past like week and a half, right?
mhm.
And the type of comedy that Key and Peele do, it's like a lot of it in the beginning of their career was heavily based around racial stuff and like being black and
Yeah.
being integrated a lot into the white community and being well half black and half white really,
Mhm.
and like how that whole relationship was persuaded and a lot of the jokes that they were doing at the time. I'm thinking about, the things that people say nowadays and the things that people are doing nowadays. And a lot of stuff that they were doing back then, in like 2011, 2012, they would have probably been getting canceled for in 2022. But it's like, I still find it funny. But I can also look at it and say, like, I can definitely see some people on Twitter calling them racist, bigots, sexist,
I think
everything under the sun just because of the jokes that they were telling and they were cross dressing and all that.
I think there needs to be more time given for that
Mm.
to happen. I think right now with King Peel specifically, I think they're in like a they're kind of safe from that for now, I guess.
I certainly hope so because like they have like I feel like their comedy styles or at least the things that they talk about has changed over the course of like from then to now, but it is
Right.
still it is still pretty out there, like with the and not even just the comedy stuff, but like the films that like Get Out, stuff like that, and they
Okay.
had
Yeah. Get
one
out.
I forgot. Hmm?
Yeah. Get out. All
Mhm.
those movies that your boy Jordan keeps writing. That shit
Mhm.
definitely would get him canceled, but really only with like the white community and you know whatever. But
Yeah,
yeah,
for real.
because a lot of his stuff revolves around like race as a
Mhm.
theme, among other things. But I feel like even then, he for those movies he writes, he's kind of safe from that
Mhm.
because I feel like with the way he those topics, I feel like he gets a free pass at the moment.
A free pass? Why?
Not okay, because I feel like how people treat like let's say Get Out for example, because that's always gonna be it's easier to describe it with that one. You know, with because he because he paints racism as like the boogeyman here, which is how everyone should treat it, I guess, or
Right, like the
shouldn't,
elephant.
like the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And the main characters are trying to do some shit, or the main villains are white and they're scary and they're trying to implant themselves in the bodies of black people. I guess because as a metaphor of what culture vulture and stuff. I didn't look into like the subtle meanings of the movie, so I apologize if I'm wrong. But with the
Mm,
way he handles how like white people written in there isn't wouldn't be taken as seriously compared to like how
mm,
if we were to take a similar approach but with black people as the villains.
mm.
I'm it's not I'm not wording it right or correctly at all, so I'm sorry, but I mean this is the best I can do with
I'm
that
trying to
point.
piece together what you're saying.
I'm just saying he gets a free passes because it's a black people movie made
Oh,
for black
okay.
people.
All right, that was a lot simpler. Yeah, I feel like that's probably. I feel like that's probably true. A lot of people work at them. Yeah.
You know, so that's why I say he gets a free pass because it's really just like a black people movie that everybody gets to enjoy. Even though the way he portrays, I guess certain groups of people might rub others the wrong way. But with the way the internet reacts to it, it wouldn't be as weighed as heavily as like any other way people would have.
What about Long Beach Griffey?
Oh yeah,
Ah, yes. Him,
Griffey.
him, and Trey Rags are always the ones. Are probably the
Yeah,
best people to look at when it comes to this.
yeah. I feel like Griffey. Yeah, Griffey's got a lot of stuff out there right now, and he's saying anything. He'll actually say anything, and that's like at one hand I respect it. Like some of the stuff I don't like. Some of the stuff I don't. I feel like it. Some of the stuff I feel like it's just like it seems really petty, and it's not really like
Yeah.
just comedy, but it's like, oh, I'm trying to like lash out at a certain group. But some of the stuff that he does is genuinely funny to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that like he's like an example of what I was thinking about, like my idea of what comedy should be is just like whatever people feel like is funny, then they're putting that out there, and that's like something that can be viewed as funny. Not everybody's obviously going to see it that way, but as long as it's not meant to be like this like malicious targeted thing, and it's just meant to get a good laugh, then honestly I think it's fine.
You know, now that you actually bring that up, I feel like to to its core, I feel like comedy is basically taking what the audience in some way, shape, or form um, relates to and making
Mm-hmm.
fun of that kind of stuff. Because then you can be
Mm.
like, "Hey, that's happened to me." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's a huge
or
yeah.
hey, I thought about that.
Mm. Yeah, like put in that like personal experience, like yeah, like making fun of like the human experience that is like relatable. I can feel that for sure.
Yeah, and like, and going back to it is again the stereotypes, making fun of the stereotype, not trying to push the stereotype, but kind of
Hmm.
like making a joke, kind
Acknowledging it.
taking serious matters and making fun of it so that we can kind of live a little. I think
Mm.
that's the idea behind comedy, so that we can kind of laugh about the problems that we're having. It's not that it's funny; it's just that it's like trying to get a laugh out of things rather than constantly being, down and depressed and
Not
sad.
bad.
Down bad.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
feel that for sure.
Down bad. Stop running when out.
Yeah, it's like it's just a break from being down bad about it. Give a different perspective. Like, why not laugh about it?
Speaking of perspectives, I think down bad means something totally different to mine.
Why? What do you say? Oh, you're what?
Down bad?
Yeah.
That though. Hmm.
I think it's even better when the comedians talk about their stories of being down bad.
Oh yeah, down bad. I feel like those are the ones that I relate to a lot. Honestly, it's like the funny parts where they're like going through like something
Embarrassing.
like a whole situation, but
Mm-hmm.
it just starts going really bad really fast, and then like starts cascading. Those are like some of the funniest moments for me too, because I'm just like, yeah, it should definitely just be breaking down and de-escalating so quick. It's just like the fact that they can point that out and relate to that. It's a feel good thing. Like it feels really good. Obviously, I won't relate to everything, but most of the time, stuff like that feels good to me in comedy.
I especially appreciate it because it goes to show what kind of crazy shit people can get up to every
Mm.
now and then. It's like, damn, this is really real life, huh?
Yeah, right. Like, and then to answer your question, like the situations where people they'll basically like give an anecdotal situation that they were in, like say I was going to the laundromat, and then like someone came in the door, they started knocking on the door, like, hey, is this you? Like looking at a piece of paper or something, and then they just like, hey, your car's getting towed out there, and then shit just like snowballs and then gets deeper and deeper, and I'm just like, yep, definitely had those days where shit just like one after the other. It's like boom, it just gets worse. It's just like they're just making a funny situation, and it's like, yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah, like this one guy who was talking about Muslims and
Hmm.
making some terrorist jokes.
Oh yeah,
Man, those kinds of
the
jokes.
middle school special.
Man, those jokes piss me off though.
Hmm.
It just makes me want to blow stuff up, bro.
You're wild. Mejo is Muslim. Well, I think Mehmed Tito.
Oh, you know what's a good example? One of my favorite skits. I know this is going on a little bit off topic for from the, I guess, the main conversation, but I guess one of my favorite like jokes, like stand up stories, is from this dude named Josh Johnson. I don't know if you know who that is, but
Josh Johnson. I
yeah,
haven't heard of him. Is he like on TikTok or something?
he
Mr. Jones.
he does have a TikTok for sure.
Okay.
But the point is, like, he did this one show, and he did this one story where I guess his friend like actually attended like a like a KKK barbecue to get some ribs. It was his white friend, and he brought it back home on a to-go plate and gave it to him. And when he tasted it, he was like, "Damn, racists really do make the best ribs." And I'm like, "Damn."
Crazy.
He actually did another story where he catfished a KKK member as his best friend. Poor guy.
That's funny. Yeah. I see what you're talking about. The guy who he apparently used to write for with the Daily Show with Trevor and Noah. Yeah,
Did he? Did he write?
that's what that's what Google's saying. I just had to look him up real quick.
Now I have to look him up. Oh, okay, yeah, and comedy writer known for touring with Trevor Noah on the Loud and Clear tour. All right, all right. You got it, you got it.
Yeah, I understand.
Mm. Oh, he was a writer and performer on the Tonight Show. Okay, all right. My boy got some. Hey, don't let anyone call him a lightweight. He got something going on down there in that belt.
Mm. Yeah.
But
So,
yeah.
oh, what were you saying?
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I was saying, okay. So I have this is gonna dip into a little bit of what we were talking about last time with Twitter,
Yeah.
but um, so what do you think about the whole?
Uh-huh.
Actually, you know what? Let me rephrase this.
Sure.
Sorry, did you have something? Huh?
What are you talking about?
I was gonna say about Chris Rock and Will Smith. Yeah.
That was a funny
Yeah,
the slap.
I mean, it was foul, but the flap was funny.
no. So yeah, to touch on that, yeah.
He slapped him like he was back in freaking Fresh Prince of Bel Air. With like,
Literally. That was one of those acting slaps. At first, I thought it was fake. Honestly, I thought that he was just doing one of those actor slaps. You know, where they like, I don't know if you ever seen like theater class where when you're
Right.
supposed to pretend to hit somebody, you like hit another part of your body, or you like stomp to like make it sound like an impact, but you don't actually hit them.
you know what bothered me about that whole entire scenario?
Mm.
When I get slapped, I get a bloody nose. But when Chris gets slapped, he goes, "Oh, Will just slapped the shit out of me." Like, bro, what?
I mean, he said ow, you know.
It was a fake slap. Like it didn't even look like.
He didn't even like frown. He
didn't
just
flinch.
smiled the whole time. Ha! Just like shit out of me.
Goes to show he's a professional.
Yeah, he kept it professional. I mean, I guess. Well, even though Will didn't, even though he was acting out of pocket, I think he handled that situation very maturely and very equitably because of what he did after that, which was apologize for the situation and humbly, quite so. Instead of just getting on Twitter talking about how, oh, I was right to do this. This is why I did it. He actually, he was like, you know what? I did step out of line. I reacted emotionally.
Yeah.
And that's feel like, and we were talking about this earlier, yeah. But I'll just reiterate for everyone.
You know, the memes started pouring in right after
Oh, for
that.
sure.
Did you see? Did you see that meme that somebody did where he simply took what Will said and just rearranged the words?
I didn't.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance either. But I guess since you brought it up, yeah,
And the fact after he said, "I'm going to," made it so much funnier.
I'm going to. Okay. Crazy.
Oh wow.
Honestly, one of the things like that's another thing about comedy. It's like that's one of the things that I actually do like in some aspect about the whole like internet culture right now is like anything can become a meme.
Yeah.
Not anything should become a meme, but anything can become a meme.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those situations I can show that, and that's like hilarious. Like within the same day, pretty much, people were making jokes about that. And I just think
Yeah.
that the comedy finds a way.
Unfortunately, it's not playing to Will's favor.
Not at all.
As much as people defending him, I just a lot of people seem to. I guess the public opinion seems to be like he's wrong, and now he's losing like a lot of the projects that he was working on.
Oh, is he?
Unfortunately, yeah, I've seen it like Bad Boys 4,
Mm-hmm.
then like some other stuff that he's working on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
He's been removed from the academy apparently.
Damn.
The whole G.I.
Yeah.
Jane thing, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, but what if he slaps them?
He said what?
What if he slaps them for that?
What if he swaps? Oh, the people that are taking away the awards.
Yeah.
No, now he's definitely gone. It's an unfortunate situation for Will, right?
It is, yeah.
Because
But
he slapped Chris, and I get it. Like apparently, from what I hear, like they asked him to leave, but he didn't, and he refused to. And I'm like, okay,
Wait, who will?
yeah, Will.
Will refuse to leave?
The when at the time when he did it, after he slapped Chris and
mm,
he went back to sit down on his table, he was asked to leave the Oscars, and he refused to.
mm,
And as much as even though he was being out of pocket, I feel like they're being unfair right now. At the very least, they should let him have his Oscar. At the very least,
mm.
this man has been doing his job and been a good dude for like the longest time.
Yeah, for like 30, 40 years of his career, he's spent being a good example.
Yeah, and me and Boma had this conversation like a few days ago too about this shit. Like,
All
you know,
three of
he's,
us.
yeah, yeah, you was there too. Will has been the best guy as far as we
Mm,
all know. And as soon as like the whole thing with the entanglement with Jada and then everything else that proceeded after it,
mm.
and he got dragged through the mud.
Yeah.
They could at least let him have his Oscar. He's been doing this for too long and haven't earned an Oscar at all for as far as I know.
I thought he did actually receive it though.
He got his award, but I think they were asking it back, but I'm not sure.
Oh, they were asking him back. Okay, I didn't
I'm
see
not
it.
sure if they let him keep it, but if they didn't, then they should let him.
Mm,
He got in two Oscars actually.
Personally, I feel like, but going back to what you guys were saying, kind of like crossing a line.
mm.
In my opinion, what Chris Rock said, I feel like that kind of crossed the line because you know that Jada is sick, so why even go there?
Mm.
Yeah,
Like,
Could make the joke, but why do it?
yeah, you could have made it a totally different joke.
Mm,
That speaking of which, uh, Kevin Hart was talking about a story where he and Chris Rock at one point were they were bouncing ideas for jokes.
mm,
I don't know if you guys saw this.
nah.
They were bouncing ideas for jokes. They were like, "Hey, this is a good joke. That's a good joke. Scratch that crap." Right? They
Mhm.
decide, okay, so this is our list of jokes. Then Dave Chappelle went up on stage, said his bit, and then they immediately threw their jokes out. They're like, "Nah, none of what we have is funny compared to what Dave Chappelle just did." And I'm over here like, as soon as Chris Rock came up with that, I'm like, should have thrown that one away.
It goes to show how much talent Dave has. Sometimes you
mm.
just gotta trust with your natural sense of humor.
Sometimes I wonder, like, does Dave even write his stuff down, or does he just kind of let it flow?
I feel like he writes his stuff down for the skits when he was doing the Chappelle show. I feel like he does and I feel like for any stand up stuff, he does little notes. But
Yeah, imagine.
I wouldn't know.
You know, Andrew Schultz though, he just kind of goes on like based on the audience. He kind of just makes fun of people.
Oh, like pointing people out in the crowd and being like,
Oh, I know who you talking about. Yeah, that might be going after people's necks when he gets a chance.
Yeah, he made some like really like deep jokes about the sick.
about who?
The sick, the Indian. Okay, so there's like a joke that he made. No, it's with a U, Andrew Schultz.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy.
Okay.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who Andrew Schultz is.
Yeah.
So he made a joke about the sick, SIKH, sick.
Like, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
The Sikh. The
Yeah.
Sikh. The Sikh. So he was talking about how back in the day the Sikh used to be the warriors of the Indian, people. And he was talking about the bracelet that they have for sheathing their sword. And then he made a joke about how nowadays the it's changed from being a sheath to a resting place on a steering wheel of an Uber.
Crazy.
Those are the kinds of jokes that Andrew Schultz comes up with on the spot. But I do like the moments when there are always like those heartwarming moments where the comedian puts the jokes and he starts going like, "Yo, real shit though, this isn't okay," or "That's not okay." Like for example, I don't know if you guys saw the thing with the lady at one of Andrew Schultz's live shows where she had an epileptic seizure, collapsed
during the show.
During the show, yeah. And 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 there was a nurse there. And she didn't do anything. And as soon as Andrew found out that she's a nurse, he got like yo, what the hell? Why didn't she do anything? And then like later on, he had another show and he was talking about that incident. He was talking about like how you know people just like they could do something about certain situations, but they just don't do anything. But then going back to like the idea of cancel culture, you're quick to cancel someone for jokes, but you're not really, you know, doing something meaningful towards making a change in certain aspects of life. Like for example, and I'm not trying to hate on feminism. I'm just hating on a specific portion of feminism.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, you said the trigger word.
Oh.
Now let me explain what I'm trying to say here. Get canceled. So I'm all about women having rights and all that stuff.
This took a turn. Hold on. Wait, what?
Wait, huh? Whoa.
Okay, but when you're walking around topless, trying to flash your tits in front of everyone.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, now you kind of see where I'm kind of going with this. It's like I feel like it's not feminism isn't just feminism. It's like different branches of feminism. There's like the actual like feminists who are actually doing meaningful shit, and then there's the ones that are just kind of walking around topless, like free the nipple. Like I just don't know what that's supposed to mean, bro. Like I get it. Like you're trying to say, like
the intersectional fitness.
Yeah, but it's like public nudity is still a thing, Why even go through that? Like I don't casually walk around with my shirt off, and I'm a guy, and I get it. Like they're talking about like how come guys can walk around with their shirts off but girls can't? But the thing is like the only place I ever see that is like on a beach or something. Like I've never ever once gone into like a mall and there's just a dude walking around with his shirt off.
Yeah, no shirt, no shoes, no service, buddy.
Yeah, like I just don't see that as like
hang around Atlanta.
You gotta hang out in Atlanta, boy. People are reckless. Y'all still when I get down there, y'all gotta take me to a Waffle House. I'm trying to see people be reckless.
A Waffle House. You better bring an extra pair of shoes, bro. That place is sticky as hell.
Ah shit.
I swear, I've been coming into that place. I get stuck to the floor, and I'm like, I can't tell if this is like sticky because you don't clean the place or because you clean it way too often or what a like.
Wait, so like, so how does that? All right, so how does that relate back to what you were saying?
Yeah.
Which part? The clean the nipple kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and comedy. I think what was your well how okay so what was your
I feel like it's a matter of making fun of things that you just kind of find silly. Because I personally feel that that's kind of silly. I don't know. What do you think?
about feminism or like
No, about that ideology of making fun of certain things that you just kind of find kind of
I think that's just a natural part of humanity. We always make fun of something we think is stupid or don't make sense. I think that's part of the. I think it's a common feature of a lot of people's sense of humor, regardless of what we think is funny or not.
Yeah, you know, when it comes to comedians, the kinds of comedians that I personally don't really like, just my opinion, are the comedians that are constantly changing up their jokes just to fit certain narratives. Like they're not trying to be authentic. They're not trying to be real with who they are. They're just trying to kind of like tell you what you want to hear. You know, like but like the comedians that actually have a mind to speak, those are the comedians I actually respect. Because as insulting as some things might come off, it's kind of like, well, wait a minute, let's take a moment, let's think about it for a moment. Where is he going with this? You know, people. I feel like some people are just a little too quick to just judge, like, hey, that's offensive, that's not funny. It's like, but what's he trying to say? Well, what's the real message? You know, it's like I feel like some of these comedians they make fun of certain things that are very very dark, but it's not just a joke to them. They're just kind of trying to like get a laugh out of you. Like for example, I feel there is a there was this one woman that I spoke to, and she was talking about how um, she used to get domestically abused. It's a serious topic, but
Yeah.
she made jokes about it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it was an escape for her though, making fun of it though.
yeah
You know, it's not like I'm making fun of it because domestic violence is funny. It's not. It's just kind of like I'm gonna make fun of that evil so that it's not as stressful on me and my emotions.
like a coping mechanism.
Yeah,
She's
exactly.
taking control of her life through the powers of being funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see a lot of people like ridiculing that, saying like, "Oh, she's making fun of domestic abuse." But I mean, that is a perspective. You can have that perspective. Maybe you feel like she's making light of domestic abuse, but I feel like again, what you said, you gotta look back at it's not like she's saying it disingenuously. She's saying that she's making fun of a situation that she herself went through. So it's like that's her personal experience, and she can do with that what she wants.
Yeah, but that's also stuck in the matter of if people even know that in the first place. Because it's pretty like if people understand that in the first place. Because sometimes people look at someone, but they don't really know their backstory behind it, so they just assume anything. So I think that's like one part of the problem of like why some people might react poorly to some people's jokes. You
Don't
know?
look into it and just like are like quick to judge.
Yeah. Well, when you say it like that now, there's another situation where um, there was a guy. He has a podcast.
Yeah.
He was talking about what was it like white supremacy stuff.
No,
Mm-hmm. The powers.
Black woman gets on the podcast, gets a
Yeah.
moment to speak, starts kind of like attacking him, talking about he's got white privilege and this and that, and then and I don't know if you guys saw this when he said when he kind of flipped the script and said, excuse me, I'm actually black, and then it was like, oh, you didn't quite do your homework. Now, did you?
Oh no.
So like, I like going back to what I was saying before. I just feel like it's just people kind of wanting to be heard, so like they'll just kind of like, no, you know. But then as soon as she found out that he's black, suddenly it just changed. Like, you know, it's like,
Makes sense.
where's that energy now?
I mean, it makes sense. If I dude was white talking about white power, he turned out to be black, I would probably be like, all right, well, I okay, it's a different narrative now.
Yeah.
It's
See,
a whole different narrative.
see,
Right.
that's how you know that that's a bad guess, because you can't come on to the show without knowing anything like that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but like going back to what I was saying before, it's kind of like the idea of just kind of jumping at it without taking a step back to like think about, you know, what's being said, who's doing the saying, you know, and what's the actual message behind what's being said.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Like looking past the knee jerk reaction
yeah,
to like say like, what are they trying to say with this? Like what does this joke mean? What does it say about our culture? Stuff like that.
exactly. That's the term, the knee jerk reaction.
Mm-hmm.
It just no. It's like what are you, a referee? Relax.
Like, stay with it for a second. Just try to dissect it. You don't gotta jump right into it.
Yeah, and Andrew used to make jokes about people like that who I think that knee jerk reaction, like, so you paid for a show fully knowing the kind of comedian I am, and then you're offended. And I'm just saying, like, you know who he is and the kinds of jokes that he says. That's what I'm saying. Authentic people, you know what to expect. So when you pay for a ticket, you go there and then you're offended. You you kind of ask for it at that point. Like,
that's another aspect of something that can be like seen as comedy. It's like it's funny. It's like people set themselves up for failure sometimes. Like you knew what you were getting into, but you just chose to do it anyway. So like that's to me is kind of funny.
Like what are you, like a secret op? You're coming in there. Here comes that racist joke now. You know,
Here
we
they
got him.
come.
Care to be offended.
Take the shot.
We got him.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me go spend $30 on this ticket so I can bitch and moan about what this guy's about to say.
And go over the non-refund policy.
I want a refund. I'm gonna heckle. Why are you heckling in a show you chose to be in? You know who I am. You made this choice.
That's just natural. That's natural human comedy right there.
It's all claim sport.
No take backs. No take backs.
You're clearly white. You sounded black on the thing. I thought you were black, so now I feel offended.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite what I was expecting at the show. I demand a refund. Oh, I mean, I could start talking some jokes about like lawyers because like I had an experience with a lawyer. Holy shit, they could talk circles around you.
They can, yeah.
Yeah, I was talking with this lawyer, and man, that dude made me feel like the biggest dumbass. I got to a point where I actually apologized to the guy. That's how bad I had that like reaction from him. Like I was like, hey, you're keeping me in the dark, and then he just started hitting me with like straight facts, like okay, so you know, like basically
legal jargon.
Yeah, just hit me with that legal jargon, turn my problem into not a problem, and turn me into feeling like, holy shit, am I a Karen? You know.
You're talking about this. You're talking about the case. I don't know if you want to speak publicly about.
Yeah, that case.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just kind of like I doubled back and like, oh, I apologize, sir. Carry on. And then he said, no, I want to make sure that you're happy. So let's go. Let's not carry on. Let's go back. And I'm like, oh shit, oh shit. I pissed off the wrong guy, and he just kind of nailed me. I was like, and I'm gonna be honest. It kind of made me feel good because I'm like, man, if he's nailing me, I wonder what he's doing to those guys.
He knows his shit if he's doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sexual orientation right on the spot.
You're wild.
Yeah. That's crazy. You know, now that we brought that up, I think like another factor we gotta keep in mind is like I guess the platform and how much audience you have. Because
Mm,
guys like Dave, of course, they could be more vulnerable to be canceled. But if you're someone who makes the exact same like comedy skits that dudes like Griffey and them do, or like do the same type of jokes as like
you too.
Dave does, but you're like more low key.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know those like hood comedy like YouTube channels that are out there.
Yeah, like
You don't have to name
yeah,
an example, but if you know what I
I,
mean, you know what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah, I know some
Like those dudes can get away with it since nobody knows who the hell they are. But
Lou, my nigga Lou.
yeah, my nigga Lou. Oh, hold on.
I
Yeah.
feel like
Oh,
there are a lot of those like jokes that
Mm-hmm.
like for
say
example
goodnight,
Griffey
ma.
drops that kind of like
Huh?
you think it's the end of the joke, then there's that one little bit left, and he hits you with it, and then you just kind of like put your hand over your mouth like, no, he didn't. Holy shit, he did that.
The zingers.
Yeah, like
The
those
zingers.
like you're like that just happened. You just gotta go in the comments and see what people have been saying. Like whoa, you know.
Yeah, that's so funny sometimes. It's time to hit your ass with these hidden fees.
Right.
It's just one after the other. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Definitely.
Definitely.
Well then,
yeah.
I think this might be a good place to stop. I think we got a point across. Unless you guys have some final words.
Uh, Closing statement. Let me see. For me, I'll say I'll say what I started off saying, which is actually, I'll refine it a little bit. I'll
Yeah.
refine it. As far as comedy goes, for me, I think when it's kept in its own area and it's looked at for what it is, then I think it's a beautiful thing. Sometimes it can cross the line, but
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I feel like that's just a part of the trade.
Yeah.
I'll finish off with saying there's certain jokes. I feel like the delivery is important too, because like
Oh yeah.
yeah, you might just come off as an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have like the charisma.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my closing statement is this: if you're not funny, if you're not actually funny, then you're never gonna get away with it. I feel like it's just another absolute that you have to embrace if you're gonna be a comedian. If you're just not really that good at being funny to get with like the jokes you want to tell, then don't even attempt it. Wait till you get better at it, and then dabble in it.
Gotta consult the council. Is he funny enough to get off for this?
At some point maybe we just might have to start a comedy council.
Council. Is he funny enough to get off for this? Cancel.
The Parliament of Humor, if you will.
We need the council to assess the situation here. They said a racial slur on stage. Let's take it. Let's get the notepads out and rate this real quick. Hakeem.
This joke gets a 1 out of 10. Not funny. Cancel him.
I'll rate this a
It was pretty
negative
racist.
2. Rotten Tomatoes.
It was pretty.
82%.
It was pretty racist. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Get him
Cancel
off
it.
the council. Get him off the council.
Okay, get out of here. One more thing for me though.
Can't even kick his ass.
Talking this made me remember that I bought a book a while ago that I regrettably failed myself in finishing, even though I initiated the interest in getting it.
What
It's a,
was it?
it's a book called Humor, written by Terry Eagleton.
Um,
It's basically just a book where he talks about humor and the different stages it comes in, and I guess
mm,
different ideas that come with it and how it works. From what I remember, it was a pretty interesting read. If you guys liked, I guess those kinds of books, go
it's a
ahead.
plug for the for everybody watching. It's an official plug.
It's an official plug. We're not sponsored. I'm sorry to say, but Yeah, give it a watch. I give it a read. It's Humor by Terry Eagleton. If it helps you, i- if you want to know what it looks like visually, it's just like guess from the front, just a white border with a red square, a chicken crossing the road. Oh god. I just realized the cover is literally just a chicken. Why did the chicken cross the road joke? But visually, but yeah, it's not hard to find. You can probably find it in Barnes and Noble. Probably order it online somewhere.
All right.
All right. Well, this has been episode 5 of the Untitled Goon Roundtable. Signing off from me to everyone else. Have a good night.